recording, and this will be, here we go, Module 1, Lesson 5. I need to share my screen again, I believe. Share screen. Slideshow. Okay, so thumbs up if you see Lesson 5, AI and Jobs in Industry. Okay, great. So for this lesson, you're seeing how AI and jobs in industry, how you could connect AI skills to real job functions. This lesson shows you how AI skills apply to real jobs and industries. You'll learn how AI tools automate common business tasks like admin work, marketing, and content creation. By the end, you'll understand how the prompt engineering and productivity skills you've learned connect to actual job functions. And we've already been putting in prompts, trying to make them better, and that's what prompt engineering is. And some of this is from the previous one of the types of industries that are definitely using AI and looking to the future of more and more companies embracing it. And that's what we're wanting to make sure that we're taking advantage of that and going ahead and embracing the tools now before more and more jobs require it. So you'll identify at least 3 real job functions that use AI tools daily. Explain how AI automates admin, marketing, and support workflows. Write prompts that solve actual business problems in marketing and content. Describe the difference between AI assisted work and fully automated work. Map your own skills to specific job roles in AI enabled companies, and create a portfolio example showing AI use in a real workplace scenario. Key vocabulary: workflow, automation, administrative work, content creation, productivity, leverage, scalable and scalability, workflow, and workflow optimization. So the live build demonstration says, think of a repetitive task you or someone you know does at work or school every single day, and what is it? So we've talked about something like emails in the professional workplace is something you're doing every day, and you're probably, even if you're not required at certain times, you're probably checking them at least the morning and after lunch and at the end of day. So that's an example of a repetitive task that someone could definitely use AI to help them out with it during that. So if an AI tool could do 80% of that task automatically, what would you do with the extra time? Well, hypothetically, you could, what we saw in the previous, free up for other more meaningful work, and you're not spending as much time being bogged down in the mundane task. You're still going to put your human eyes over what it generated in replies, and you take ownership of whatever you send out. But it could help in generating those replies. You could have templates for different types of emails to different people, different companies. That could help save time. So those would be some examples. Of course, we said, have you ever used an AI tool at school? We talked about in the workplace. So we said both in personal life and the work. You mentioned Grammarly. So definitely for like a grammar checker. And even if it didn't seem like it sped up your work much, it at least kept you professional, that you don't send something in that is overlooked and has a lot of errors with it. And number 4, we just saw in the last one, because we actually looked at that article of showing in the next 5 years or so what kind of jobs would be around, what kind of skills would be important to employers, how AI is being embraced. And so definitely take the time to read over that article that had the study on those changes and what they've seen across the workforce in different industries. Okay. So an example of, so like a specific industry that could use AI today in new ways and definitely save people time. You used to have like when there's flooding, like in the Delta or areas, and crops, you'd have to wait for a human, to drive out. Or if you've ever had storm damage at your house, we had a tree fall on last year. You have to wait for that adjuster to come out, schedule a time. So it's a couple days before you maybe even get somebody out there. So you've had to take pictures and you've had to upload them. And then humans can make the errors on how much are they looking at. They're taking the pictures. They might not get the whole picture of like the extent of the damage, which ultimately the outcome could be you might not. It might not have been represented the best, and then you don't get maybe as big of a claim as you should have had. And so something like drones enabled with AI flying over crops would be able to see like what a healthy crop is the baseline. And it could see things with computer vision, like this is saying like green and stuff is what it's looking for. A healthy crop, it's bigger. And then the amount that was flooded, it said like 68 acres of the total, what the loss would be. It was able to tell that there was water logging and plant necrosis. Okay. And so then, just like the person would do before, you'd be able to get back that there's a confidence that this person should, that the claim is valid and should be supported of 98%, you know. And that's one thing that they've used with insurance claims for homes too, and using AI with drones and such can get a lot more higher accuracy than a person too. So it could lead to better outcomes for the person that had the damage. Obviously, this would be faster too, based on if they had technology like this in the area and sending them out. And if they had enough of them, they could ultimately get to people quicker than waiting on a person and their schedule. So you learn how changing AI is changing real jobs right now. That was one specific example. And like agriculture, we'll look at four key areas, the ones that we'll focus in on: admin work, marketing, customer support, and productivity tools. And by the end of the lesson, you should be able to spot where AI is being used and understand how to use these skills in a real job. So, what jobs use AI every day? Focusing in on some of these, marketing teams use it in writing their social media posts, helping out with their ad campaigns, writing emails. Customer support agents use AI chatbots to answer common questions. So that's why we see so many chatbots. The human doesn't need to be tied up answering the same question hundreds and hundreds of times of like what are your hours, right? Or something like that. That information of the company could be in a chatbot answer the customer's question. That frees up their time to answer more specific questions that wouldn't be maybe a new situation has arisen, some conflict that they're having with the company. Um, but chatbots are usually pretty robust on, you could sit there and communicate that the product you received was faulty, or you never got it, and it could give you the follow-ups on what to do. Admin workers use AI to schedule meetings and organize data. Data analysts use AI to spot patterns in numbers. And also, we've mentioned, remember the patterns that AI can look at and the insights it can make can be different too than what a human would be able to pick out anyway. So we're looking at a lot of amounts of data. We might have trouble enough looking at two charts and pulling an insight between thinking of both of them. Then when you get to thousands and thousands of points of data, you're like, oh, this would take a lot of time and probably multiple people to look at it to make sure you're not making mistakes. But then AI might make insights that go deeper than we're thinking in the situation. And so for like healthcare, it looking at a bunch of data, it'll help out with things like triggers for things that could happen later, carcinogens and stuff, and that could lead to cancer. AI might possibly go beyond some of the ones we know, like smoking and things like that, and looking at people's family medical history. But it might find data and notice that enough people across a certain demographic that exercise or something, and then maybe a mixture of exercise and watching like a comedy like once a month or something. Who knows? It might make an insight that that made their risk could go down a little bit, you know? Something that we would be like, oh, I didn't think that. Maybe people's like shopping patterns and things like that. Just giving an example that it might can come up with something off the wall if it has access to all that data that might actually be beneficial. It mentioned the examples of admin work and what they could use writing emails. That's kind of repeated. Definitely, that's a thing that takes up a lot of your time if you don't have it automated, is trying to find people's times to meet and coordinating people's calendars. And so we have book is like a feature on our email that'll let you like ask for a time with somebody, and it's supposed to let you like pick times that are still available. And so it's great that you have tools like that now. Um, because if you have multiple people that need to be on a meeting, then it could be very difficult that if they all have to be on it, there's been times, where everybody's good and one person's not. Okay, now we have to find a different time. For marketing teams, of course, vast load of posts and ads that they need to put out, emails trying to, send out to get people to click that might lead them to a certain product. Okay. So to be able to generate drafts more quickly, then of course they could get more of them out, the finished product. Frees up their creativity where when the drafts are through quicker, you could have a variety of the campaigns to kind of do like A/B test and see which one you think is going to be more beneficial. They could tailor, just like you talked about tailoring like a lesson in Sunday school for a certain kid, or if one has a disability or something. So if you have a ad in marketing and you're wanting to do a campaign such as through a social media post, it says like you have a new product launch and then who your audience is. So for teenagers, because maybe you or I don't know what's the trendy thing of teenagers today, and it might have a better idea of what's going to really get them excited. And then the AI could create something in seconds that the marketer could then edit and make better, decide if they want to use it or not. Customer support, of course, before getting calls and through the emails and everything, problems that people face, and a lot of the same types of problems. So you realize those are things that could be automated. So it gets to the point where an AI chatbot can handle the majority, 70% of common questions, such as password resets or status of your order, say, like with Amazon. So then the remaining 30% is more complex that the human could focus on, of exactly what happened and what problems that they're facing. So it's not replacing jobs, it's making jobs smarter. So the support agent now could spend time solving hard problems instead of answering the same question multiple times. So this infographics just to show us that yeah, AI is not replacing jobs, but empowering workers. So we think of in the future people being able to, whether they're working with holograms and stuff like this, you have a creative partner. We talked about everybody having pretty much their AI assistant now. People have an assistant, teachers have an assistant teacher, things like that. Students all have a tutor with AI. Somebody helping with there to help out with medical research and insights, streamlining content, and so on. A content creator's workflow might be brainstorming a topic, writing an outline, writing a draft, editing, and publishing. So AI can handle the outline and draft in minutes pretty instantaneously, and then the creator can edit and add their own voice and style, and they get that ending product final draft much quicker. So then it becomes faster and scalable. One creator can produce more work by using AI for the time consuming parts. Productivity tools and workflow optimization. So there are AI tools specifically just for it where you're able to put in kind of the things that you work on and the task and personal life and sharing your calendar and your work life and being able to optimize that. So it can auto assign tasks based on who's available at a time, like in your work, can summarize long meeting notes into key action items. That might be good when not everybody has to get on a call, and you want to make sure that they get the key points from it. AI can flag which emails need urgent replies. And these small improvements can add up to save teams hours every week. So a real example of like a marketing overflow would be a marketing manager on the first day creates a prompt for a product launch email, then having 5 email draft options. The manager picks the best one, edits the tone, and personalizes details, and then sends to 10,000 customers. But without AI, writing and testing 5 versions could take, of course, much longer. And so it's saving that person ideally a couple of days worth of work that it would have taken beforehand. So I got Gemini to create this image of, say, an assisted by AI workflow for a campaign, like was mentioned earlier, like a marketer might use. So I told it for it to be like a deodorant campaign, like a new deodorant. And so it does have like planning and audience research helping you out with analyzing deodorant market data, deciding what scent preferences for your audience is going to be, um, sweat concerns. We know all the big metrics that need to go with the good deodorant. Okay. What are some of the targets that you want to reach for groups of people where you meet those criteria to say it's for active, for people doing a lot of sports, hiking, moving about? Is it eco-friendly? And then going into ideation and content strategy, generate deodorant specific concepts. So maybe they say something like confidence boost, produce headlines and short form video ideas, and select your primary platforms. Are they going to, do, are they going to have ads on Roku TV and stuff? Are they going to be on Instagram in any form for marketing, Facebook, those types of things? So then into the content creation and development, it could help then with drafting deodorant ad copy and product descriptions, create high quality product images and videos, and ensure fresh and clean brand voice. Then once they have all that, then going into the execution phase, so the launching those ad campaigns, then monitoring the performance. So how's the audience reacting to it? Are you getting clicks on things? Are you getting plenty views? And is that leading to buys? Are they buying the deodorant? Gives you time to adjust your budgets for future spending. Then you're going into the performance analysis. Okay, so when you're tracking the sales ultimately for your ads and everything and all the time went in, are you getting a return on investment? Are you having good audience engagement? You could analyze audience behavior on the landing pages that they go to. And then for reporting and future planning, generating reports based on all of the marketing campaign you had and the deodorant. Use data to forecast future scent trends. So based on how that one did well, AI might tell you that mountain did very well, but for some reason, completely unrelated, maybe it's like an ocean scent is like the next one, like salt water or something. And AI can give the exact name that is going to be possibly for your audience going to really stand out, like saltwater breeze or something. And that one is going to be an active one. Is it a 72-hour deodorant? And then be able to give those ideas future product lines. So you see how AI can help out across that whole process of a campaign for this a specific company, selling like a new deodorant. And you can see how that can apply to pretty much any product that you are getting out there and selling. Trying to pull that up. And I don't know about you, but for me, none of those deodorants are true on if they say 72 hours. I'm like, they can't get 24 hours right. So I don't know why they've jumped up that high. I think that only works for people that don't sweat. Okay. So we have AI assisted versus fully automated. And all that means is the humans being assisted with AI, getting to work much faster and smarter. So when you're working alongside it, it's AI assisted. So a designer's still designing things, but AI could be used to generate like background images. They're working together. It's like having a partner. A writer's still writing, but AI could be fixing grammar and suggesting better words. Fully automated, though, means no human is involved, so the machine does the entire job alone. And we already talked about automation, and especially in the nutshell of like classic machines that are automated, like an older washing machine and dryer. Um, Even to the point, even if they are pretty smart and AI enabled, there are things that are also fully automated and the human not involved. So I mentioned like that bartender that was a robot, which wasn't a humanoid looking robot. It was like a robotic arm on a track and everything moved, but there's no human bartender behind the thing. So that was a complete machine, fully automated. So most jobs right now across some of these different industries that we mentioned are not fully automated. They're AI assisted. So you keep your job and you get better at it and you see how AI can help you. So you'll be building a portfolio, creating a real world example showing AI in action at a business. Pick a business challenge like writing 5 product descriptions or drafting customer support replies. Write your prompt, get the AI output, improve it, and show the before and after. This becomes proof that you can use AI to solve business problems. That's your portfolio artifact. Mm. So for the guided build before the example of like the lab one for this lesson, so if you did pick a real business scenario, kind of like the deodorant one that we just had, it suggests like a small clothing store that needs to write 20 product descriptions for their website. You could discuss what information the AI needs to know, so product type, size, color, price, any special features, and target customer age, and so on. Then you would write a template prompt together on the board where you would say, okay, product copywriter for an online store, write a product description for what that product is, that is exactly 3 sentences, what's your target audience, and include the color, price, and one special feature. Okay, so it gave us kind of an outline for what you could fill in the details with your template. So I'll do this in Gemini. I'll put in that initial thing in the prompt so it has that context. So say that we have a small clothing store that needs to write 20 product descriptions for their website. So there's some ideas of product type, size, color, price, special features. Maybe you have men's, women's, and children's clothing, so you could also do something similar for if you want to do your own. small, medium, large, and extra large sizes. Maybe your thing is you, for this product line, are monochromatic colors. Monochromatic. Fair price due to recycled materials. Special feature. How about no tags, so you don't have a tag irritating your neck or something? Already gave it the ages that you cover, or cover men, women, and children. Now, of course, you could have given it exactly what it had and even tell AI to be that role. So if you wanted to tell it you are the product copywriter, or a marketing genius, something like that. I'm using Gemini. If somebody use Chat or Claude, ultimately the can see the response and then compare them. It says, is it ready to publish or does it need editing? So once you run it, looking to see which one's coming up with better outcomes. Then that's going to lead into the lab version that you do. Choose one business function from this list: social media marketing, customer support replies, admin scheduling. Then you could find a real business example, identify one task that the business does repeatedly, and write a detailed prompt that could help that business automate or speed up that task. Says you could use ChatGPT, you could do Gemini, Claude, or another AI tool of your choice to generate at least 3 outputs and review each output and mark what is good and what needs to be fixed by the human. Then edit one of those outputs to make it what you consider business ready, and that's your final version. And then you have some questions to answer about that process. So I'm going to submit the paragraph version of what I threw in there. Didn't give it any actual types of, like, is it t-shirts and things like that. So you see this output of men's collection. Looks like I showed that I'm on that screen, right? You see men's collection, the essential monoc. Okay. So yeah, based on the little bit that I gave it, so we have this T, we have sleek and tagless. It pulled that into it. The sizes are correct that were offered. The types of colors: midnight black, slate gray, bright white, eco sleek hooded sweatshirt, minimalist jogger lounge pants. And let's say ultimately it was supposed to come up with 20 of those different products. Okay, so we have 20. We have a sleep tee, have some unisex items. There's the children's collection. Okay. It looks like it's stuck with the monochromatic colors of different whites and blacks, grays, navy. So it gave some tips or follow-ups. Tips for your website: since your brand has a strong focus on sustainability, because I said it was made with recycled materials, and sensory comfort, that it's tagless, you might want to create a small brand promise graphic or badge to place next to these descriptors so customers instantly see the value. So we could then get it in that workflow to create an image for that. So yes, I need a brand promise graphic showing that our materials are come from recycled materials. Okay, we got brand promise, eco-friendly commitment, fairly priced, confidently sourced, our sustainable loop, looking for any imperfections. We see it pulled in like the leaf and stuff that you normally see for eco-friendly and sustainability. Made from recycled materials, reducing waste and carbon footprint, ethical production practices, sensory friendly, no tags for men's, women's, and children's wear, small, medium, large XL. So the only thing with this, it created this using all the context that was in, but I told it just to do the recycled materials thing because it's kind of a separate thing, the no tag part and sensory friendly. So I would probably not have it show that. It's also a lot going on for like the image. So to give some different versions of it simplified. And then we know anything that you send out for your company you're responsible for. So if you were going to create a image like this, that you have like this that comes with the product on like something that comes with it, it would be you have to make sure that all these claims are actually backed up. So see how it added things based on what normally is with the company that uses recycled materials, but I mean maybe we don't have ethical production practices. Are we actually reducing waste and carbon footprint? Because we know a lot of companies could say stuff and then not be a thing. So it's like, then what does this mean when we create this? So that's where I could give feedback and remove the sensory friendly, no tags. Maybe simplify the image some. See about removing the gears. But while that's loading, of course, after your lab, there's those. So you'll read into what's in the portfolio artifact, and then it'll give you your breakdown of if there were any problems with it, what the solution would be, best practices, and you have your reflection journal, just like all of them, all the previous lessons. That'd be the end. So going through all that for the lesson 5 quiz. So that got us going through that before lunch. Did you happen to have time to have you been able to take any of the quizzes from starting at like 1 yet?
Yeah, I finished up all the quizzes, and there's a few more. I have to
Okay.
finish up maybe
Okay.
one or
Yeah.
two
So
in
you'll
the collection journals.
Okay, yeah, you'll see the quiz for each one. So if you got up to four for today and 5, you could do those if you haven't already. And then, like you said, the labs, reflection journals, all those. Okay, so that did remove our gears. It says made from recycled materials. It got rid of what I wanted it to. It is simplified. So you just see how something like that, that conversation going back and forth to get a better result from the prompt. So both it giving us some products, came up creatively with some names in this collection, made sure that it fit the requirements across the all the sizes that are offered we could follow up with that text that was before and focus more on our men's and women's line and the children's line be smaller, things like that. And so, even though that's a hypothetical thing, you could see how that could easily relate to any other type of business. And if you were trying to do some marketing thing now you could use AI to help you out with all that. Then we could jump into the part from here where you're actually, if that was just selling on Facebook and showing like picture stuff of creating your own website for this this product or something similar to it. Do you have any questions on that lab? That'll be in that one. Let me go back to it and see because that'll relate to any others. So it said like you could pick a company's website, a social media page, identify the one task that that business does repeatedly, create a prompt that's going to help them speed up that task. Let's give some requirements for that prompt. You have freedom on the tool that you use. You generate at least 3 outputs, and then of the one that you like the best, or however that you'll take one of them to get it into a final version, and then ask yourself and answer what task does this solve, roughly like how much time would this save per week, and what would the business person do with that saved time. Do you have any questions on that lab?
No, no questions.
Okay. And then that goes into it's like the things you do in the lab and everything, then you have them together saved in your you could have everything in a folder for your class. And if you want to keep each of the modules separate and then the lessons within that module, you see you would have a portfolio artifact from this lesson of the things that you did. And so those are the things that you should be looking for having at the end of it. The reflection journal, making sure that you have all of that. So that'll leave us at 6 and 7 for tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording.